Hey everyone, Mark D with the C here. I got a little episode here on some of my old Battlestar Galactica toys. I'd like to show everyone again. It was on. We had them on Global Geek Gang on Clobberin Times channel this week, and I got to show off my collection, which was a lot of fun. So just want to go over those toys in a little bit more detail and tell you some of the history that I found out about them and what's cool about them. So everyone knows Battlestar Galactica started after a little Star Wars movie came out in May of 1977. So actually, I was reading that there was a lawsuit over that, and they were claiming copyright infringement, but I don't think that lawsuit was successful, obviously, because they went on with the series. But everyone thought, well, space was a big space sci-fi, became huge. Then you had Space 1999, and of course, then Star Trek: The Motion Picture, which evolved out of Star Trek Phase Two. The people at Paramount decided they could make a lot of money, hopefully, on a film series of Star Trek, which proved to be correct. That was really successful with the original series crew. So the Battlestar Galactic series, I remember as a kid, that was a ton of fun to watch, and I remember waiting to watch the premiere of that movie. It was a big. It was a big event back then. Of course, you didn't have a VCR, so you had to make sure that you watched that live when it came on, and you had to tell mom. Make sure I can stay up late to watch that 2 hours. So it was a really big event. Of course, then a lot of people were disappointed in the series eventually, and how much it cost to produce. So it only lasted one episode, but it did give us some really cool toys. So that was a lot of fun, and I have the Viper here. So let me go to the other camera, and I'll show you the toys that I've gotten in my collection. So let me switch to that. So as you can see, here's the Colonial Viper, which is really cool toy. The only thing that wasn't great about them was the figures. They came with special figures, which are I've lost, but unfortunately, they were special 2-inch figures, so it wasn't the exact scale size of the figures, as you can see. So you couldn't fit the standard Galactica figures, unfortunately, into these. But so you had the Colonial Viper, which is really well done. Looks pretty close to the series, and the colors not bad too. Like the Star Wars toys were white. At least this is kind of an off-white, although maybe it's aged over the years. And the next toy I have is the Stellar Probe, which is not a vehicle from the series, but it's another nice, really cool toy that you can play with. And I'll show you how these are all modular. So when you play with these, you can take parts off, a little bit like the Micronauts, maybe not as interchangeable, but it was a cool idea to have these toys have different parts. So if you had the whole set, you can kind of make different spaceships out of them. So here you can see the back, and then let me flip this over. So it does have wheels that you can roll. So the different sections you can see you can take apart, and I'll do that in a second. So that's a nice cool ship, and we'll talk about the infamous missile launchers in a second too. But here's the backside, and then the wings on the Colonial Raider. Actually, they're on hinges, so those you can change the angles on those. And then the next ship that I have, there we go. Well, it's the Scarab. It's kind of a crazy tank launcher hybrid. I've got a little piece there holding it up. It doesn't always flops down after a while because it's so old. But I don't know what the idea of thinking. I guess that you could launch a ship off of this, or it'd be a portable launcher that would have. This was supposed to be in the I'll show some pictures from the literature, and you could make like a stellar probe out of this, I think. Oh, thanks for the comment, Bodega. Yep, these are cool toys. Yep, I'm glad I still have them after all these years. So you could open this up and it, it would almost. Let me put this down, see if you can see that better. Let's see if I put that at an angle. It's reflective, so it's supposed to be like a satellite. Let me put the lights up on that, and maybe that'll help see that reflect here. So you can have like a cool satellite launcher, and then the pieces are modular here, so you can put them into the back of the ship. So the next, of course, then you got to have the bad guys to go with these. So you've got the Cylon Raiders. So here we go. So, and then these guys open up like this on both sides, and there's the missile launcher. So I've long since lost the missiles, unfortunately, but I have a 3D printer, so I've been looking at seen some designs. You can 3D print them again. Mainly not to shoot, obviously, but just to have that color, especially, in the front, there's a missile launcher in front of this ship. All three of these noses have missile launchers, so these are the original ones that didn't have the captive missiles, and I'll go over that. And then, of course, you had wheels on the bottom of these. So, the idea is you could roll them around if you wanted to, or it gets for a landing, and then they close up when we want to hide those missile launchers. Now, infamously, unfortunately, a 4-year-old shot one of these into his mouth and unfortunately passed away from choking on it, which is really sad. I mean, a lot of collectors get upset about the Boba Fett rocket launcher, but I can see why that after that incident was canceled. So and here we go with another. You got to have two enemies, because Starbuck or Apollo, even though they've got one Viper, they could outfight two Raiders. So and I'd like to thank Pat S. had mentioned too that there were decals and custom things you can buy buying the just mentioned that now, Pat. Yep, thank you. I'm getting new to this YouTube stuff, so it's tough to read the comments and stay on top of doing the video. So but yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm gonna check that out, so I'll post that on the show notes for this. He says there's a website you can get glow in the dark and custom paint jobs, and there's some really cool aftermarket things you can get for these ships, which is really nice. So some collectors want to keep everything perfect and original, which is fine if you like that. I kind of I don't mind improving improving them, or restoring them or bringing them back if that's how you want them. Or like I also work on motorcycles too, so sometimes with antique motorcycles now, you want to leave the original patina and you just clean it and keep it unrestored. So my view is whatever floats your boat. However you like keeping your toy. If you want to have the toy restored and do bring it back or do yellow brighting on it, that's fine. Or if you want to keep it original, this is how I played it or how I got it, that's cool. Yep. Hey, Sortopus, thanks for checking in. So let me show you guys how. Hopefully the mic will. You can hear me over here when I move my mic. I move the mic a little bit to the table. So what's cool about these toys, and hopefully I won't mess them up because they're old. What you can do is actually change and take them apart. So let me show you. For example, this is the rear part comes out of this Raider, the Stellar Probe, and then you could mix and match the different pieces. So I could take this engine compartment out of the back here, and then throw it into here. So you could have a different engine on here. Same thing with this. I guess it's supposed to be like a satellite. They said you could put these two pieces together. They were showing this. I'll show some of the catalogs that I have. But, they were showing this as like a probe that could land. So that's kind of cool. And then what's really more interesting is you could actually take, say, like I could take the back piece out on this Stellar Probe. I can go over to the Scarab, and I can take this piece out. So you've got the Scarab like that, and I've got the front piece, and I can go, hey, let's make a really long Stellar Probe here. So let's go back here so we can see that. So normally that's how I display this guy. So let's put this little little Spidey piece in there to hold that. So you can see how that you can just mix and match and have the different pieces. So that you can take I believe this part. I don't break anything. Let's see. This engine comes out. I think this front part pops off, but it's been a while, so I don't want to snap it. But yeah, you can mix and match. And then, for example, I could take this piece from the scarab and go in here and just have another little, short raider there, whatever you want to call it. So there's all different as a kid, you could have a lot of fun with the different combinations and use your imagination. So I've had a ton of Micronauts toys, so in that respect, it kind of reminds me of that. So it's a really good toy line. I thought the show got canceled right away, so unfortunately, I think they sold. They did well in the beginning, and then after the tragedy with that young toddler, choking on the missile, unfortunately, that put a damper on things. And I was looking at my Sears. I have a collection of Sears wish books. And, for example, here's the 1978 wish book, and I was looking for Galactica toys, and I was assuming they would be in there, but I couldn't find them in here. I'll do another episode on these toys, but excuse me, the wish book toys. But I found, of course, Star Wars, which was really cool. There's the $6 million man. I'll just go to this. So, for example, here's all the old Star Wars toys. I'll do a better presentation of these in a future video. We can see the X-Wing fighter. But I was looking, I said, oh, and there's my Micronauts toys, which are really cool. But I was like, where's Battlestar Galactica? Why is Galactica not in here? So I guess maybe they missed this Sears wish book, and then the next year there are no Galactica toys either, unless I missed it. If someone points that out. But let me go switch to show you guys some websites that are really cool, and some images from the show. Or from the toys, excuse me. Let me switch over to this other monitor here. Let me grab that. Okay, so here's the let me go full screen with that. There's the Colonial Viper as the packaging, and I'll put have in the show notes where the websites you can go, learn more information about these or see where I got these photos, so those people get credit. So here's the Stellar probe with the packaging. My boxes are long gone, and here's that's the image of the probe that I was talking about, which is kind of an interesting thing. So here's another nice picture of that scarab. You can see, they've got the this type engine on in the back with the actually missile launchers, and you can see that nice retro. Well, back then it was new, but it was really cool. See now in here they say missiles redesigned toy missiles cannot be launched. So, I'm sure a lot of parents didn't want to, buy these once they learned of that tragedy. And a few people, unfortunately, other kids had gotten hurt too as well. So here's a picture of one of the toys, the Silent Raider. So you can see how small the figure is. So it's a really tiny figure. It doesn't match like Star Wars, at least their vehicles match the scale to 3 3/4. It was a smart decision, although I kind of like the 6-inch figures much better, but it's nice to have that scale where you could fit your figures into the toy, where these were special figures that were made to fit in the vehicle. So it's too bad they didn't make these vehicles bigger, although they look really cool. But it's it was obviously probably a price decision. Everything gets multiplied if you have a mold. Part of my day job was making tools and things like that. So some of these molds can be hundreds of thousands of dollars. So the bigger you make it, and then you've got the cost of the plastic, and where the bean counters versus the fans. Sometimes the bean counters went out. So I'm sure that's why they decided not to go that full scale, but it would have been really cool. Uh, Now this vehicle was, I did some research, was only available in Canada, so that's why you can see the looks like the French on top, and so that's the the Landram, which I don't think was in any episodes. So this is selling for about two grand on eBay now, or it's really tough to obtain this guy. So, but it's a really cool vehicle. But I guess it was towards the tail end of the toys, and it didn't get released into the States, so that's why it's so rare. Here's another nice uh, just back panel from the stellar probe, so you can see here all the different configurations. Like you could change the front nose, and you've got the missile, and flip everything around. Here's the as a satellite. You could make it just, I guess, as a rocket here, and then you've got the launch button here for the missiles, and the missiles in the back, and then of course these are showing the other vehicles. The Viper and then the Scarab. So and the Cylon Raider doesn't have any parts that are interchangeable, which makes sense. You're not going to be able to, these are the good guys, that's the bad guys. You can't exchange parts with the bad guys. Oh, so James made a comment. Yeah, my mother hated me shooting missiles about the house. They apparently wrecked the vacuum cleaner. Yeah, I'm sure they wrecked many vacuum cleaner, and moms. I guess everywhere we're vacuuming up parts or finding parts or stepping on Legos infamously. So, yeah, I'm sure that's how my missiles probably ended up in a vacuum cleaner somewhere. Um, Here's a article on Galactica toys. Now they did this is after they canceled the show, um, but they still had some. There were talk, of course, it came back as Battlestar Galactica in 1980, but so there was talk of producing that show, so I guess they kept the toy line going. There's a really cool Battlestar the toy they had planned. Unfortunately didn't make it to production. So what they did, they said here, they used all the chips they wanted to use for that Battlestar in this toy gun. So some of the toys they had too were like this launcher, which would launch these Vipers. They were like they would fly, which was pretty cool. Some old time LED games, and these chopper games or toys were, they had like a Star Trek one, they had a Army one, that whatever, they would just rebrand it to match the show. And it was just basically a helicopter would go around and fly around. You could change how high or low it went. So I had one. It was, after a while it got pretty boring going around in a circle, but when you open the box, you're like, oh, this is gonna be really cool. So yeah, so here you can see the plans to release the large-scale replica of Galactica itself, however, have now been scrapped. This is more due to the cost of the thing than the show. So as I was talking about, that would have cost maybe $50, which I think the Millennium Falcon was around $25 at the time, and that was the toy that everyone was bugging their parents to get, and they're like, $25 for a ship? Are you crazy? So I only knew a few kids that got that. So for $50 back in '78, that would have been really expensive. So now they have what they said. The computer chips back then were in short supply, so they used them in the Galactica laser pistol. So it's like they did make a bunch of toys that were popular, but nowhere near like Star Wars. So that's why they're more rare today. So then we'll talk about the unfortunate, the incident that happened with the young kid choking to death. So what they did, they offered a missile mail-in. So if your missiles didn't end up in your mom's vacuum cleaner, you could mail them back, and they would give you a free Hot Wheels car. So they wanted to get rid of, take all those missiles off the market. So back then, it was an approved toy. It went through, it wasn't like they did anything that wasn't approved, but just unfortunately that incident happened. So and they list the three different. The numbers are actually on the toys you can see that I have. So the Viper, the Scarab, the Probe, and the Raider. So these numbers are actually embossed underneath the toy, so that you could send those back and get your Hot Wheels car back. And of course, back in the day, there was no internet, so this is all you had to mail you had to mail them back, and then put your address in, and then you had to wait for it to come back. But everything was just through the mail back then, and then you could call to verify the model numbers. But it was basically all the it was all the toys. So and then this was the famous Boba Fett was supposed to have the missile, and then that's the famous prototypes that are out, and went for tons of money when they were for sale. I think some of the engineers that are working on them kept them. And you can read all about how there's on the website. There's some websites that the different designs and iterations of Boba Fett, but everyone sent away for this, and they expected expected to have a missile launcher. When they got it, it was just a static missile for safety. So people were really really upset when they got him. But I can picture Kenner. They don't want anyone else to get hurt. So let's see. We got a comment from James again. Do kids play with toys anymore and have mock space battles? All they ever see is them on phones and consoles. Yeah, James. Yeah, I think you're unfortunately right. I mean, the kids don't get a chance to use their imagination if they're on those devices all the time. I know. I try to keep my kids off them as much as possible. Now with video games, and we grew up with a kid of the '70s. Atari and Pong and ColecoVision and television. Those graphics weren't that good, so it was kind of, you'd play them and then maybe you get bored of it, or it wasn't all encompassing. Now with the phones carried around, and my kids almost don't watch TV anymore. They just watch YouTube videos, which I know a lot of us are doing. Thanks everyone who's watching now. They watch YouTube videos, or I remember I caught my son watching Game of Thrones on his phone instead of turning the TV on in his room. I said, Charlie, put Game of Thrones on the TV. Don't watch it on your cell phone. Of course, that wasn't season 8, which you all know was a disaster. So maybe season 8 was good. Good on the was good on the cell phone since it was so bad. But it's the kids. At least Legos are popular now too. But unfortunately, I think too, as much as I love some of the Lego sets, like I just got the 1989 Batmobile, which I'll do a stream on, which is super cool. But the kids, if they're building all these things, then specific sets or Star Wars, then you don't want them to take them apart. So when we were kids growing up, you'd buy like that. I had that space set, and you buy sets, but it wasn't you just take it apart and rebuild stuff and mix them all together. So it was a lot different, I think. So it was it was much cooler time, I think, to have more imagination. So as much as I love video games and computers, it's there's something special about playing with your friends, especially when you're younger. You'd have space battles, like you said, or you'd battle the characters together, you'd fight, or I had Shogun Warriors, so we'd shoot the missiles. Those are probably just as dangerous too. The hands would fly off. We try to knock each other over. So Pat, he mentions where you bummed the figures didn't fit inside the ship. Yeah, definitely. I mean, that was I thought that was a real screw up on the toy line part. You got to have vehicles, and you send out miniature guys that don't match the other toys. It's as a kid, you're not thinking about it. You're like, well, why can't I fit my action figures in here? They should all fit together. Now this is the Galactica that never happened, which would have been super cool. That was a toy that would have been $50, and hopefully maybe someone will 3D print this, or someone will design this on a 3D printer, because I've seen some really cool 3D printed parts. And Retro Blasting had a fantastic stream on someone who's actually making a new Viper, and I'll put the link in the show notes to that. And someone, you can actually purchase it. I'll put the link to it, and it's a really cool, like an upgraded Viper that's much bigger scale. And I think if I'm remembering correctly, you can fit the figures in there. But someone did a beautiful job on that, and I think it's about $200. But I 3D print, and a lot of times you get bad pieces, or it's not, it's very intensive, and you got to have all the right settings. And so I think it's it's well worth it. But you can see here on this ship would have been really wild. I guess they've got I don't know if that's a laser beam or an antenna, but maybe it's some kind of gun. You could launch them again, mini Vipers here, not obviously full scale, but that's kind of understandable. And I guess you've got the Landram or tanks that'll be coming out the front.
So here was the packaging. Okay, yes, that was a space gun with electronic sound, and maybe the Vipers are kind of small, but that would have been a really cool ship to have. Yep. So I guess that was the packaging that never happened, but that would have been a really wild tool. So let me show you. Let me close this. Couple of websites that I went to. Let me switch back. Here's some pictures from, of course, the new Galactica and the old Galactica. Now some people don't like the new series, or I think both kind of complement each other. I mean, you've got the great old characters, and then you've also got the new characters. And I think they're just different views of the same idea of trying to find Earth. So it's really well done, and I think both can exist together. So let me grab switch to that other. Oh, I've got this program on that tries to save your memory on Chrome, so it shuts everything off. So let me go to the first. Plaid Stallions, definitely check these guys out. Fantastic website, and these guys do a great job. So they've got an article about this, and they're just showing, they found all the old original ads, which is fantastic. So you can go on their website and read about it, and it's always cool to look at these old ads. Like I said, I was trying to find them in the Sears catalog. I couldn't find them, and then they had 12-inch characters, which really don't look great there. I guess that's a mock-up. Here's the Viper launch station. That's a great idea. So that would have been cool to have too. I'm sure those ships would have gotten destroyed. So yeah, definitely check out Plaid Stallions. They're a really good website for retro toys. Yep. Oh, James is mentioning, the Millennium Falcon had the Millennium Falcon, was annoyed neither Chewie nor Han could fit in it. Yeah, I think the cockpit was really tight. I think you only able to get one figure in maybe on the Falcon. I'm not sure. And then James also mentioned he just got a 3D printer and he's searching for patterns of the toys we couldn't afford when we were kids for his children. Yep. I'm doing the same thing. I've been printing stuff, and but definitely check I'll post that link. It's not in there. I'll post that. It's really cool, thing that person did to 3D print some new Vipers. Yep. Pat S says, I'm not going to lie, I like the 78 Vipers better than the 2000. Yeah, there's something really cool about those Vipers. I guess that's, they kind of modernized them for the quote-unquote for the new Galactica series, but it's such an iconic design. It really did work. So you can see with the, it's really not changed a lot in the new series. But there's something really cool about those old Vipers, and I think they did, if I'm remembering right, some of the they might have had some older models in the series too. I think because Galactica, when it started in the new series, is a museum. Someone can maybe put in the chat if they remember. I think they did have a couple of older models, possibly that they had in part of the series, but it's been a while since I watched that Galactica series. I gotta do a rewatch on that. Racquel, Briggs, and Supreme Heretic have every Thursday night. They've got a rewatch. I think they're up to the third season. So that's I'd highly recommend watching. I'll put that link also in the show notes. That's I just thought of that. So you guys can catch that podcast on Thursday night when they go over rewatch the new Galactica series. So they're talking about why Galactica toys are hard to find. So didn't last as long, and wasn't people didn't think they were as good as the Kenner Star Wars figures, and now people, because of the new series, they're saying people are more interested in the old series. So I think that makes sense. Yeah, you get nostalgic for the old series, and Dirk Benedict was fantastic as Starbuck, and Lauren Green is Adama. So the casting was really really great in that show. So okay, Pat says that's right. Adama flew one. Yep, I was trying to getting old here, so I thought they had an older style in the series, and that they flew. It was Blood and Chrome, or I'm trying to remember the name of it. But they also had a special. I think it was the flashback with Adama. Of course, everyone's favorite Daggett, which is actually a monkey in the suit, which I learned recently. If you can Google some clips, and there was a chimpanzee actually in the suit, which is why the obviously wasn't a robot back then. so he fit in really into the suit. Can't imagine it was comfortable, but that's why knowing that when you watch him walk, it makes sense. And of course, then you had the Series 2, with some of the aliens and the infamous Baltar, Silent Commander, and Lucifer. The head lit up on the show if you guys remember, but not on this figure. So and then you had a set which is all together, which is kind of cool. And then of course the 12-inch figures, the Cylon, and then the Colonial Warrior, and of course then they go through the vehicles here. So this is posted in the show notes, so you can read about this. So the Colonial Landram was released in '79. It was the last of the ships to be released, and only in Canada. So it was the same scale as the other ships. So it was built with non-firing and firing versions. So there's that Landram there. So that's really difficult to get. And of course, then they go over the command ship and the play set. And then here's some links to different pages for. So this head over to this website and check out all the information they have here. It's really well done, and they've got the new figures. There's Hot Dog there, and then the Mattel figures, and here's a great retro version of Apollo. Current versions, really nice. So they've got some great stuff here. So it's always always easy to spend money these days. Lord Toth, hey Lord Toth, thanks for being here. Yep, classic, nice toys. Yep. So it's brings back memories and some really cool vintage stuff, and also they're coming out with new versions of these toys, which are great. So here's I don't need cash back, not buying anything now, maybe, but here you can find there's some decals that are online. Let's do search high to low from Galactica Toys. That's always shows you the more expensive ones. Whoa, $900 pre-owned. Don't tell my wife. Maybe she's gonna want me to sell this then. Wow, $800 for I guess that's in the card. So some of these might be graded, but so the gift set, wow, 700. So and sometimes some of these eBay prices are nuts. These are in the card. I guess that's a French Canadian version, 600. Wow, I don't have the boxes for these, but these are pretty damn. Oh, $550 complete vehicle set. All right, definitely don't tell the wife. Yep. Yeah. Pat S is saying, remember Jolly drove that tank thing. Yep. And James is mentioning LEDs were way off. Yeah, if we had LEDs, that would have been so cool in some of these. I think if you 3D printed a new one, you could probably retrofit some LEDs, which would be cool, or maybe in place of the missiles have LEDs. So there's $439 for the set. I didn't think these would be that expensive, but maybe some of these are could be overpriced. So you always look at what what was sold. I guess if you've got the box, it's obviously more valuable. And I do this because like I said before, I love the toys and love having them and collecting them. It's not about, oh wow, can't wait to buy and flip these or sell them. They've been in my collection for a long time, and they're up on the shelf, and get to look at them. Toth is saying a lot of those old BSG toys, he still has one or two in a box somewhere, not so gently used. So that's pretty good. Yep. So yeah, so it's nice, Toth. If you have a shelf, I did the room tour. I've got pretty much every inch covered. Toth is saying maybe my volume's low. I had moved my mic. Let me try to adjust that. Let me turn up the gain of my mic. Let's see, is that better? Sorry about that. So hopefully you guys can hear me better now. So here's some of the aliens, and here's a Scarab non-firing. Let's see what they got. So these aliens I don't remember seeing these on the series, but pretty cool. So I was trying to see I guess there's no Landrams for sale right now. And as we get down, see 134. So this is that's a prototype. Haven't seen that one yet. Yeah, James says eBay is a blessing and a curse for collectors. Do you know that toy is worth $900? Yep. So here's that's true. Yeah, see, here's like $80 for the Colonial fighter. So, or that's the which one's that? That's the not the Viper, the Raider. So yeah, they go down in prices. So here's some wow, 9 missiles for firing Vipers and Raiders for ships, $100. I think I'll try to 3D print those. So yeah, these are eBay is just fun just to see what's happening, and if you did want to check how much they're worth. But I also like, when I was doing research for this, I was trying to figure out, what pieces and what I had. So, Tal says the mic is better now. Yep, thanks. I'll get to, there's a level, I had it turned down, I guess, on this microphone box. So thanks for letting me know. Let's see here, some $75. Yep. So let's go down to the bottom range here and see what they have. Yep. So yeah, not cheap, but then again, that's not why I'm doing this. So here's some more unproduced toys. This is another cool website. So you've got the Cylon helmet, which is really cool. Never came out. We've got all these helmets today that we for toys. There's Iron Man. You can get Ant-Man, different characters with all the electronics in them. I've got a Darth Vader helmet. So they're just going over some, and there's that article there on the toys that we went through before. And then here's the missile toy Racquel. So it's this showing one of the missiles here. So that was in 1978. So let's see. And then here's that picture in an article. I posted this. It's kind of tough to read because it's so wide, but you can see what happened here and how there was a send away. And here's what I wanted to show: the different iterations of Boba Fett. So they had like a J. They called it a J type. I guess the lever would come down and go to the left. And that turned. If you read the article, that turned out to be dangerous too, because that piece could break off, or different pieces. I guess the idea was it couldn't launch accidentally, so you'd have this lever up here, and to launch the missile, you'd have to pull down, go to the right, and then the missile could launch. So you couldn't just pop it off accidentally. And then, of course, here's the final rocket that that we got. So that was really disappointing to all of us Star Wars collectors. So let me go back to what I want to do here is one episode I'd recommend watching. Battlestar Galactica was really not that good. The 1980 version was kind of pretty disappointing. But the one episode everyone seems to agree is really good is Return of Starbuck. So it's kind of like an Enemy Mine episode if you've seen that classic movie. And Starbuck gets marooned on a planet with Cylon, and they no spoilers, but it turns out a little bit like Enemy Mine. So I'd recommend watching that, and it's the only episode of Galactica 1980 he's in, but it's really well done. Of course, he's a great actor, so it was a fun episode to watch, and had a good meaning to it. Yep. So James is saying a small 3D scanner would be nice, but they cost an arm and leg in the moment. Yeah, so it's almost better to try to measure the part and try to reproduce it and draw it in Fusion or any CAD program. It's a bunch of free ones, and if you go to different like Thingiverse, a lot of times there's parts that you can find on there. So let me go. I never want to search live online, so let me go back to the video camera here. Let's see. Oh, it turned off after a while, I guess. Let's see. Turn that guy back on. Let's see here. Oh, power got unplugged. That doesn't help. So let's turn that back on. Let's see here. That's what happens when you do something live. Yeah. So let me get this camera back on. Hopefully, come on, camera. You want to turn back on. Let's see here. Oh, yeah. I can fix this cable. Sorry about that, guys. got popped out, so the battery went dead in the camera. So here we go. All right. So here's the. Let me just search. I'm gonna search Thingiverse really quick to see if anything is available, but I never want to go on Thingiverse. I've had some problems with some sites that aren't so good popping up on it lately. There's also a bunch of other 3D websites you can get to that I could post to, but let's just check to see if they have anything in Thingiverse for Galactica. Let's see. Let me go. Battlestar Galactica. Let's see. So far, nothing. I'm sure something should come up. Maybe. Let's see. Okay, here we go. So this should be safe. Let's see. All right. So we've got. Yep. Lord Toth is saying, yeah, the only good 1980 episode. Well, Lord Toth is a tough grader, but a fair grader, and I definitely agree with that. That's really the only good one. As a kid watching, they found Earth, that was wild, and they had those flying motorcycles, but yeah, it wasn't wasn't the best. So here they've got a 3D Viper. You've got they've got this is the new Galactica, but you could 3D print that, and this is the newer Viper. Let's see, this is the new Raider, a helmet. So I'll post this search as well. But yeah, they've got some. Got to start printing again with some of these. So they've got some of the Vipers and helmets, and so someone's already designed them. Here's like a retro one. So that's pretty cool. So let me go back to that first page and check out the. Let's see. I know this is the new Galactic, but I thought they did a really nice job with this ship because it really looked like the old ship. So let's see how many pieces it's printed in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. So you could print, with 3D printing, you've got to print things separately or line them up for your supports. So they've broken it down. And of course, then this, depending on the size of your 3D printer. But this looks like it's a really cool, nice detail. And then you could, sand it and paint it and do something nice. Yep. Oh, Pat S is saying, can you 3D print G.I. Joe guns? They're really small and detailed. Well, if you have, I have the artillery 3D printer, which is FDM, which was probably not good for something really small and detailed. For that, you'd want a resin printer like the Elgu Mars or any kind of the resin printers. Most people who are doing figuring or tabletop gaming are using those type of printers. So. For that detailed, the resin printers are much better. Of course, you can do some small stuff and then sand it, but I found it's kind of iffy. You can change your nozzle size, but it's not the easiest thing to do to get something right. Once it gets too small, it's a 0.4 millimeter nozzle, and the resolution just doesn't work sometimes. by your command. Yep. So it's something else to buy. Let's see, resin 3D printer, just to show everyone. Yep. So if you find best budget resin printers, so let's just do images here. So as you can see, here's the Creality and the Prusa. So you can do a lot more details. And what it does, it actually it's a plate. And it dips into a resin, so it prints opposite. So it goes upside down as it, the part is hanging, I should say, as it's going. So it dips into it, and then it does a layer at a time, which is really cool. So it goes up and down, and you can get much more detailed. So that's probably next on the list. We can see how that's doing each layer. This is of course sped up, but it's really cool for smaller detailed figures, and also you can more money you have, the bigger you can buy them. So it's really cool. So let me go back to the camera here. I just want to show where the missiles were on these guys here. So, in the front there was a button here for the missile, and then some of these one of these engines actually had missiles on the back. So you can see here you could launch missiles for any Cylon raiders on your tail. You couldn't do that in the show, and then you had missiles in the front here that would launch from this button. Same thing with the Scarab. You've got a missile launcher in the front. Oh, there we go. And I guess if you could switch out this the engine in the back and then put the missile launcher in the back, like I said, and just mix and match all the different configurations. So yeah, that was really fun to share those ships with you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Appreciate all the comments, and thanks for everyone watching. And next episode, I think I'm gonna do. If you were watching Global Geek Gang, I ordered a Enterprise phone for Racquel Briggs, so maybe we'll do an episode on the old school Enterprise phone. And got some other old toys to show. So if there's anything you'd like me to cover, let me know. And just really appreciate you guys with all your comments and spending the time to share our love for these old toys. So let's see. Pat S is saying, how much does it cost you in materials to print on something, say 11 inches long? When you go into the program, so I use a slicer. So what you do, you get the program, and you put your 3D design in, and then it'll actually tell you the length of how long the spool is, and how the weight in kilograms. It's metric. Most of the programs, so it'll tell you. So you'll know, like for a typical design, it'll tell you how long and the weight. So something 12 inches, it depends on the circumference of the diameter. So and you also change the interior. You can change how much it's filled in. So say if you do like 10% infill versus 50% infill, you're going to use a lot less 3D material. So you can kind of tweak that. So if it's something really big, you're not going to you could try to minimize how much material you use. Now, the 3D printed reels, let me go to Amazon.com and I'll show you. I think they're about $20-25. So you search for filament. Let me search for filament here. So it's 1.75 filament. Yeah, so standard filament. It's about, let me switch back to that other screen here. So yeah, so filament's about $20-25 each reel. So it's not as expensive as I would have thought with the printing. And you kind of try to tweak things, and the thing is, you want to save time. So by saving time, you're saving the cost of the filament too. So you're always trying to tweak things. So like here's let me switch to this camera here. Something I printed. It's like I printed these elephants. So you tweak it so the inside of the elephant is not solid. So if you printed the solid, would take a lot more more time, and B cost you more money in filament. So you always kind of try to tweak things. And here's let me grab some of the Star Trek guys I did. So like I printed. I'll do an episode on these, but I printed these guys, Lego Star Trek figures. So, and they're hollow on the inside. So. That way they don't take as long to print, and they're you don't want to use make it. There's no point in making something solid like that. So yeah, thanks for the questions. Maybe that's another cool thing to go over, is some 3D printing some of these old things, or if I print those if I'm able to print those missiles for Galactica, maybe I'll throw that in. So just want to really thank everyone. It's been great hanging out with everyone, and catch you the next time. Thank you.